Happy early U.S. Thanksgiving, and welcome to the Munchkin Minute, your bi-weekly look into some tabletop gaming news and more. I'm your host, Dan, the Board Game Man, and this is your news for November 18th, 2024. So we'll start off with a couple of expansions today. And there's not as much news. The news kind of slows down. There's more Kickstarters this month, not quite as many as last show, but there's a lot of good Kickstarters this month. As usually, Kickstarters take kind of December and January are kind of a lull time for the Kickstarter launches. I mean, I could be wrong this year. Who knows? Every year is a little bit different, but generally that's when everything kind of starts scaling back. We see a little bit more news. Everything kind of scales back a little bit this time of year as far as December goes. So we'll see what we got. We'll start with some expansions today. First up, Direwolf Digital is going to release an expansion for Dune Imperium and Uprising. So this is Dune Imperium Bloodlines. This will be out early next year. It'll be about $40. You'll need one of those two base games, either Uprising or Dune Imperium. It's kind of weird that they've kind of still have the two standalone games for this. You probably only really need to own the one, as Uprising is arguably the superior version of the two, but they're both still really, really good games and a great game system that I absolutely love. So this expansion here, Dune Imperium Bloodlines, will add some new commanders to bolster your fighting force. You're going to unlock new tech tiles, new leaders, new contracts, and it says more strategic possibilities than ever before. It's such a fun game, you know, kind of deck building, some little bit of kind of war, but it doesn't really, it's not overly long, but really cool how the whole victory point system really works. I absolutely love this game. And of course, it is also out on Steam now that you can check out. Hopefully they'll start adding some expansions to that as well. But a really solid game. And that'll be out. The expansion will be out early next year. The other expansion, this one is from Renegade Game Studios. They've announced another GI Joe, the deck building game expansion. This one is called The Crimson Veil. This one will be out in February, so still early next year, and $30. And of course, like the Dune one, this one you will need the GI Joe deck building game core game to play this one as well. I really love this system of kind of the way that they have the dice rolling and such, and kind of going on missions. Really fun little cooperative game. So the Crimson Veil is going to have new player cards, two new missions. It's also going to feature intel dice for the new intel missions and a giant card for the general. This is going to be a lot of fun to play. Again, I really love the kind of the added expansions for this particular one. And Renegade Game Studios has done a really good job, and a really good solo version as well. Solo to play this one, but really kind of shines at that 2 and 3 player combo, co-op in there as that deck building game. Next up, we've got Keymaster Games is going to be releasing Fuego. That is going to be, should be out maybe as you hear this, but probably in a couple of weeks, by early December. Should be late November. This is about $20. This is a cool trick-taking card game. Now, they say you extinguish your opponents by taking out all their flame tokens, which you're going to be collecting, or have the most flame tokens at the end of the round to win. The first player or team to win 2 rounds wins the game. Now, this is interesting because the higher cards obviously win you tricks, but the low cards are the ones that earn you points. There are wildfire cards to fan the flames to make the trick in Fuego, and you're going to strike a match by playing same valued cards to blow out your opponent's chances. Turn up the heat with caliente cards that offer new challenges and mix up the gameplay. What's interesting about this one, it kind of reminds me kind of the way these cards and the way the card play is. It reminds me of a bit of a twist or a combination of clubs and diamonds. And they're both interesting twists on a familiar hearts and spades trick-taking games. All 4 of them are great. The newer ones, clubs and diamonds. You don't hear a whole lot about clubs anymore, but it's a really cool ladder climbing game. Which has kind of the club, certain club cards will get you the points as you win them, and diamonds, which is also interesting, is as you throw off or not win, depending on what you do, that's kind of how you're kind of scoring some diamonds. But anyway, this one in Fuego, Fuego, not in Fuego. Fuego, this is an interesting little twist on that whole thing where you still have to really pay attention when you're not winning tricks, and also probably trying to not win tricks in the same instance to get some of those extra powers and points. Switching gears a little bit now, Rio Grande will release 7 Empires. This is kind of a dry soulless Euro or heavier Euro by Mac Gerdts. He's the designer of Concordia. What a great game that is. That'll be out also in January. This one will be $70. This is kind of an updating of his older game, one of his first games, Imperial. So being that it's a newer version of the Imperial, it doesn't have quite the same economic game that Imperial was. They've kind of refined that a little bit, switching up some of the gameplay elements. What a lot of people did like about that one, and will probably like this one, is it's the lack of randomness. So a lot of strictly Euro players love that there's no dice and not a lot of randomness or card draws, which bring back some luck or randomness. This is kind of a Euro for those players that want the zero luck in games. Now, knowing Mac Gerdts, kind of everybody loves Concordia. With some of the twists and great gameplay in Concordia, I'm sure this new edition with 7 Empires will bring some of that fun gameplay. But again, this is more for those type of players that love those dry, soulless Euros without a lot of the randomness. The City of Games, they teased a Duel version of Isle of Cats. This is the Isle of Cats Duel. This is going to be released in December for $25. Now, every game seems to be getting the dice game or the roll and write or the Duel nowadays version. I think I like the Duel versions better. I really like playing two-player games with my wife, and just two-player games as always with just kind of that Duel version. I do like dice, so I do like the dice versions as well of a lot of these. So this one is an interesting one, again, because the Isle of Cats, while it's a fun game, because it has a couple different ways of playing it, but it does kind of get bogged down with a runaway leader, kind of some weird card play, but maybe this Duel version will distill it back to what you really want out of it with just, some card play and more of that polyomino with the cute little cats, putting them on your board and making those different sets on your board. So this will supposed to be an interesting one. Check this one out next month. Probably be a good one to put on everybody's Christmas list as well. So there's a lot of news that I saw in and around the industry this week, but they're all about upcoming Kickstarters that'll be out early next year. So again, since it's kind of a slower news cycle the last couple of months, I'm not going to cover a lot of those because if they're any good as far as Kickstarter goes, at least in my eyes, I'll probably cover them in the future when they are up on Kickstarter or GameFound. However, the one I did want to let everyone know about is from Gale Force 9. That'll be coming out early next year. They're going to be doing a new Kickstarter for Star Trek Ascendency, The Final Frontier. Now, will be a big box version with 7 expansions. The 7 expansions that'll be have already been released up to date for Ascendancy, but they're also going to have new planets, new civs, new cards, and a rumored new faction that should be in this box, which will be the Gorn. Now, it is definitely one of, if not my favorite Star Trek game, although I just covered that Star Trek Star Realms, which is really good. That's going to give it a run for its money. But anyway, I really absolutely love Star Trek Ascendancy, which is kind of a Star Trek 4X game. And it's an absolute blast to play. This one is absolutely great. So this will be a good way to get in on anyone who hasn't got in on this before and is interested in it. This will be a great way to get on it because it has all the expansions. But I hope they do put on this Kickstarter, if they're smart, they're going to put some a la carte options for people like me who have the base game and a few of the expansions, but not all of the expansions, and want some of the new stuff as well. That's always a smart thing to do with people that are already loyal to you to give them a way to get all that new stuff. Let's head on over to crowdfunding now. So we'll start off with World Order. This is from the creators of Hegemony. It looks like an interesting game. This is by Hegemonic Project Games. Now, it's interesting because it's kind of about almost like being in the UN or having a lot of diplomacy in the world, or just running. I believe I think it's like Russia, US, China, and I'm forgetting somebody else that they have in there. But anyway, you're running kind of the global powers and you're trying to compete for victory. However, it's not, it's more kind of card play and almost diplomatic, but you're really just kind of trying to get to the end game of winning with getting in the way of other people, like the kind of direct, not as much direct conflict, but it does look like a lot of fun. I've seen a lot of reviews for it already, and people are saying some fun things about the card play, which is more up my speed as far as the card play goes. You can get on this one for about $58, and it's well funded with about 2.5 weeks to go. And it should be a lot of, I'm not sure if I haven't seen a lot of the stretch goals, but there should be some of those as well. I know a lot of people are not doing stretch goals, just putting out the game and some extras, but hopefully there's a lot of now, especially when you have higher Kickstarters, you want a lot of stretch goals, especially if there's going to be big old campaigns. Next up, let's go to one of my favorite smaller publishers, Jason Tagmeyer and Button Shy Games. These are a lot of those solo games. This is Glass Garden. This is a solo game of growing succulents and minding the critters. This is designed by Roshni Patel and art by the great Kwanchai Moria. This one is only about $12 to get in. All these Button Shy games, again, I can't stress enough how great they are. Just a lot of fun. They're easy to get into with those little kind of wallet games, 18 card type games, and they're just a lot of fun. So I'll have a link to that one as always. Next up, this was a game I believe was on my to try list for Gen Con. This is Avalon, the Riven Veil. This is from the publishers. This is Shadowborn Games, who did Oathsworn. I absolutely love Oathsworn, kind of that Frosthaven-like campaignish game. This is a little bit different. Now, it's not quite the same. This is more of kind of a Blood Rage type game where it's just freaking chaos with card play and minis and different factions and a lot of crazy stuff going on there. I like kind of the hidden nature of where you are going on the map, and then a lot of the crazy card play where if everything's overpowered, then nothing is truly overpowered. So I really love that. And Shadowborn Games does a lot of great things with their kind of their production value and gameplay. You can get in on a core gameplay for $99. And of course, as always, a deluxe game pledge for $150 and the collector's all in for about $200. God, I love these type games. Looks like a lot of fun. This was well funded and is about 3 weeks to go. So check that one out as well. That is Avalon, the Riven Vale. Back to the dry soulless Euros, if you will. This is Clans of Caledonia Industria. This is a expansion for Clans of Caledonia. This is kind of a Euro with, it's about the Industrial Revolution, transforming Scotland's landscape and economy. It is more of an economic Euro, so it is not really up my alley. I have played it, the base game. It is kind of fun for the people that don't like a lot of randomness in games. So this one is an expansion to that one. Again, not necessarily my cup of tea, but I know a lot of people out there do love Clans of Caledonia, and it is very popular in that Euro landscape. So this expansion is $42 US. You can get the base game also for $42 US, or you can get the bundle for about $83 for the two of them. This one has about 2 weeks to go, and it is well funded. That is Clans of Caledonia Industria. And we got another one here. This is kind of a newer one from on Kickstarter, as far as, this is an expansion or anything like that. This is Sweetlands advanced strategy game to build the city of Sweets. About a week and a half to go. It is also well funded. This is by a Japanese publisher. This is kind of an interesting Euro game about kind of building, you're building your own kind of Sweets empire. It's pretty cool. It's a heavy strategic Euro to rule the kingdom of Sweets, as they say. It looks really cool. There's a really good solo version. It looks like a real good introductory way to play. They have a lot of player powers in here. There's a really cool kind of dual layered, as you kind of get your player or your faction, you kind of insert them into this dual layered board, which really looks cool. I really like the way they've done that. I think a lot of publishers could take, are going in that direction, and they should take cues from that, as really cool as it looks. A lot of the bits look really nice, very good art. And this looks like a really cool kind of a heavier Euro for people like me there. So you can get on this one for about $88 US. There's also, of course, the deluxe pledge for $121 there, just the two pledges, but it looks absolutely amazing. I'm not sure, didn't do too much research to see if you can get those double layer boards with the base game. Hopefully you can, because you don't want to miss out on some of those bits. I always love that, the deluxe game should be a little bit better, but you really should have a really good base game as well. The deluxe should be a lot of the unnecessary things. To me, this dual layered board where you're putting your faction is kind of necessary. So that better be on the base game. But again, well funded. That is called Sweetlands. And finally, a game that's right up my alley. As we know, I have a whole lot of things that I say this about. Everything between Dry Souls Euros, the kind of fantasy Gloomhaven likes, those are up my alley. But this one here is a cooperative roguelike board game. I love roguelike type games like Slay the Spire. This one is called Fable Fury. This is an interesting one. A week and a half to go. It says endless misadventure awaits you and up to 5 friends. This really does have the cheeky art style, the gameplay. There's a lot of humor in it. You can get in this one for $59. There is a collector's bundle for $99, and everything bundle for $145. But I do like kind of as you're kind of going around the board doing other encounters and kind of leveling up, or as you're getting hurt and you're kind of trying to find other places to heal, and then buying more cards to add to your deck and such. So I absolutely love roguelikes. I can't get enough playing all the computer ones. So if you let me know what your favorite Steam roguelike is, and obviously bonus points for ones out of the norm. I mean, obviously I love things like Monster Train and Slay the Spire, but if you have one that isn't necessarily in the limelight that you love, that you'd like to recommend, definitely come to the Major Spoilers Discord and let me know. Anyway, this one is Fable Fury, cooperative roguelike board game. Check it one out. We got two more, very different ones. coming up here. So finally, just like I mentioned, I love everything that is these gigantic GameFound campaigns. And this is Awakened Realms, which is no stranger to these gigantic ones. This is Lands of Evershade, over $3 million. So you've probably heard of this one. You can get this one. There's a huge pledge for $323. God, I'd love to have this one, but I just don't have the scratch sitting around for this one. But being a huge kind of campaign-y type game, I absolutely love it. The minis look great. Awakened Realms does a lot of great stuff. As you know, they do all sorts of, those huge campaigns. I think it's ISS Vanguard they did. They just do all of these type games and just so great. And Tainted Grail, or Tainted Grail, I believe is theirs as well. They just do amazing campaigns, and their games are just so much fun to play. So Lands of Evershade, this one is about 2.5 weeks to go, so check that one out by Awakened Realms. And finally, this one isn't actually out yet, but it's on BackerKit. I did want to mention to everybody about this one. This is Defenders of the Realm. This is kind of the Legends Edition, which will be a new one. The new art, kind of a little bit refined gameplay by Richard Launius. He's one of my favorite, one of the most iconic designers there is. Sir Richard Launius is just a great guy. Played a ton of games with him. And just such a fun game. Defenders of the Realm, I have the big coffin box. I put a lot of expansions in there. So I don't know if I'll get in on this one. They did kind of redo the art in a way, so this will be interesting to hear people's different takes on the art. This is by Greater Than Games putting this one out. So I want to hear people's takes on the art style and kind of the gameplay. But this one will be out in like 2 days from recording. So by the time you hear this, it will already be out. But it is kind of another large campaign for an upgraded edition. I just got the Sentinels, the new I just got the Freedom 5, which is Defenders of the Realm and the Sentinels of the Multiverse universe. So I kind of probably have my fill of this and with the older one, but I really would love to see, I want to try it once it comes out, this new Defenders of the Realm Legends Edition, but I want to hear what everyone's thoughts is. Are you going to get in on this one? Do you have your old? Do you have Defenders of the Realm? Do you like this whole system? Do you have Freedom 5? Have you played the new Freedom 5? Anyway, all that stuff I'd love to hear about, but that's the last one that I just wanted to let everybody know about. Defenders of the Realm Legends Edition out in a couple of days. And of course, I'll have the link in the show notes. So thanks for joining me today. If you see any news you think I'd like to feature, shoot me a message at GeekJockDan on Twitter. And of course, on the Major Spoilers Discord, with everybody leaving Twitter or X, you might want to go to the Major Spoilers Discord. I love to chat all about board games. There is a Munchkin Land thread on there as well. Please check out Majorspoilers.com for other content by Steven and the rest of the Major Spoilers crew. And also check out my show, the Geek All Stars podcast. We just kind of put out the Gamers for Cures recap where we talk about a lot of games we did play. As always, I'm Dan, the Board Game Man, and we'll see everyone in a couple weeks for another Munchkin Minute.
This podcast is copyright 2024 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.